advocate on LGBT rights and queer rights around the world. He's joined us today to demonstrate outside the embassy, and he's going to say a few words. Peter.
As we all know, the sentences on these two young men of 7,000 lashes for sodomy is just the latest of many barbarisms by the Saudi regime against both gay and straight Saudi citizens. 7,000 lashes is pretty bad, but it's not the ultimate punishment. Saudi Arabia executes lesbians and gays. Saudi Arabia beheads in public lesbians and gays, and indeed other people who violate its perverse, barbaric laws.
Shame.
Shame! The sentence of 7,000 lashes is itself a potential death sentence. In Saudi Arabia, 50 lashes alone will produce severe red, swollen, bruised welts all over the part of the body that's been hit and lashed. 100 lashes will break the skin and start bleeding. From about 150 lashes onwards, the body will start to go into shock. From 500 lashes, the shock is so great that it will often kill the person. So we don't know precisely how many lashes are going to be given each time and how often the intervals are between each set of lashes. But we should bear in mind that 7,000 lashes could easily kill these two men. We also need to remember, of course, that lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people are not the only victims of the Saudi regime. This is a monstrous, misogynistic, sexist regime that treats women as subhumans. Women cannot vote. Women cannot drive a car. Women cannot ride a bicycle. They have to be covered head to toe in a walking prison of cloth to hide them away. This is not a nation that respects its women citizens. This is not a nation that respects any form of human rights. In Saudi Arabia, all non-approved political parties are banned. You can't set up a Democratic Party, or a Socialist Party, or a Green Party, or any other kind of progressive party in Saudi Arabia. It is, to all intents and purposes, an absolute monarchy where they do have a rubber stamp parliament, but it is entirely at the discretion of the king and the royal family. This is not democracy, it is autocracy and dictatorship. Moreover, any Muslim in Saudi Arabia who decides they don't want to be a Muslim anymore faces execution. All non-Muslim religions are banned, and people who practice their religion, even in the privacy of their own homes, can be arrested and jailed for many, many years. We also see labor laws in Saudi Arabia that violate the International Labour Organization norms. Extreme oppression of workers in Saudi Arabia, where they are banned from forming trade unions and where they have no trade union or employment rights. They are beholden to their employers entirely. And this abuse is protected by the Saudi state. The worst workers of all, of course, are those affected from the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and other South Asian nations who work as virtual slave labourers in Saudi Arabia. They've got no rights at all, and if they complain, they are subject to incredible abuses. There have been many cases of their employers actually killing them and getting away with the murder of guest workers, because these guest workers from South Asian nations are deemed, like women, to be subhuman, devoid and undeserving of rights. Finally, I suppose we have to say, what about our government's own stance? Our government, our Labour government, has relations with the Saudi government, friendly relations. it treats Saudi Arabia, this murderous, tyrannical regime, as a friend and ally. We trade with them, we sell them arms. We sell them arms in ways that are open to and have been proven to result in extreme corruption. As we know, the British aerospace deal, the so-called Yamaha arms deal, was referred to by the Serious Fraud Office for investigation for criminal charges against both British and Saudi nationals for kickbacks and corruption. And our government closed down that inquiry, banned it, closed it down, prevented it from going ahead in order to protect the corrupt Saudi regime and the corrupt leaders of the royal family in Saudi Arabia. We also, of course, do precious little to protest in the European Union and the United Nations about Saudi's abuses. Our government will protest against Iran sometimes. It certainly used to protest sometimes against Saddam Hussein. But it will not protest against the Saudi regime. And these people are criminals. This is a criminal state violating international law, abusing its own citizens in defiance of all the norms of international human rights and justice. We have to say loud and clear to our government that we want you to work with the European Union, with other nations around the world through the United Nations, to isolate the Saudi regime, to stop supporting them, stop selling them arms, demand that they conform to the human rights conventions that they themselves have signed but are refusing to uphold. Our message is loud and clear. Human rights are universal and indivisible. When there are human rights abuses in Britain, we demand national and international action to stop them. The same goes for Saudi Arabia and every other country on earth. Human rights exist for every human being, gay and straight, and it's about time Saudi Arabia honored that international obligation. Thank you.